Vital Farms eggs are supposed to be the best eggs you can buy. They're marketed as pasture-raised hens, roaming freely on small family farms, fed the highest quality feed, and producing nutritionally superior eggs with deep orange yolks that justifies their premium price. But recently they have found themselves at the centre of a massive scandal. People everywhere are talking about it, and when you hear what was found, you'll understand why. When you dig into the story, what you find goes far beyond one bad lab test. It's a story about how a small farm with 20 chickens became a publicly traded company worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The product we've all been paying a premium for may have stopped being premium a long time ago. So, what actually happened? Well, to understand the full picture, let's go back to the very start. In 2007, a man named Matt O'Hare started Vital Farms on a small 27-acre plot of land just outside Austin, Texas. He had 20 Rhode Island red hens. That's it. 20 chickens and a dream. O'Hare's mission was simple. He wanted to raise hens the right way. He wanted them to roam on real pastures, eat a natural diet, and produce genuinely high-quality, nutrient-dense eggs. He also wanted to show other farmers that this was possible to do both profitably and ethically. He built the company on a philosophy he calls conscious capitalism, which basically means you prioritize doing right by everyone involved, not just for profit. And his methods, they worked. Vital Farms grew very fast. They partnered with small family farms all across the country. They got into stores like Whole Foods, Kroger, and Target. Consumers everywhere absolutely loved them. The branding was incredible. Cute packaging phrases like tended by hand, made with fresh air and sunshine, and even keeping it bullshit free. People were willing to pay $7, $8, even $10 or more for a carton because they believed these eggs were the best quality they could possibly get. And for years, Vital Farms was considered the absolute gold standard for pasture-raised eggs in a grocery store. But then came 2020. And that's when things started to change. In July of 2020, Vital Farms went public on the Nasdaq Stock Exchange. Their initial public offering raised around $125 million. Now, going public with your company isn't inherently a bad thing, but when a company goes from being a small mission-driven operation to a publicly traded corporation, the incentives, they change. Because now, you don't just have to answer to your customers and your farmers. You have to answer to the big dogs on Wall Street. So who decided to buy into Vital Farms? BlackRock, 12.1%, Vanguard about 6.36%, Wellington Management, Amazon, and all the other major institutional investment groups are in there. The majority of Vital Farms ownership is now large investment groups. Now these massive institutional firms all have massive stake in the agriculture industry. So Vital Farms, they had an issue. They had to ask themselves, at what point does profit start to become a priority over the original mission? And what the data is now showing is very concerning. About a year ago, a company called Nourish Food Club, in collaboration with Michigan State University, conducted a fatty acid analysis on various egg brands, including Vital Farms' organic pasture-raised eggs. Despite this study being done over a year ago, it's recently gone very viral, with many Instagram creators sharing the results. What was found in this study was striking. Vital Farms eggs now contain about 26% linoleic acid. Now for context, canola oil, one of the most common seed oils out there, contains around 19% linoleic acid. So 2 Vital Farms eggs contain roughly the same amount of this omega-6 fatty acid as a tablespoon of canola oil. Now you might be wondering, why does this even matter? Well, linoleic acid is a polyunsaturated fatty acid, and whilst your body does need some of it, modern diets already contain far too much. Excessive omega-6 intake, especially from sources like seed oils, is highly associated with increased inflammation. And inflammation, as many of you will know, is the root cause of every health issue. So why are Vital Farms eggs now so high in linoleic acid? Well, it comes down to one thing: what the chickens are being fed. Vital Farms openly admits on their website, and has done so for some time, that their hens are fed a supplemental feed consisting primarily of corn and soybean meal. This is very important to understand. Chickens are what is referred to as monogastric animals. They have a simple single-chambered stomach. Unlike ruminant animals such as cows, which have complex 4-chambered digestive systems that can break down and neutralize much of what they consume, chickens, they don't have this ability. So what a chicken eats is largely reflected in its egg. So when you feed a chicken things like corn and soy, things that it has not historically eaten and therefore isn't equipped to break down, what happens is it starts to build up this omega-6 fatty acid straight into its yolk. Corn and soy are the cheapest, most heavily government-subsidized crops in the United States. They're the same feed that's used in the cheapest, lowest quality factory-farmed eggs. So the question becomes, if Vital Farms is feeding their hens the same base diet as conventional producers, what exactly are all of us paying the premium for? Now you might be wondering, if these Vital Farms eggs are coming from chickens being fed the same diet as every other egg, why is it that their yolk looks so good? Why do Vital Farms eggs have this nice orange yolk? Vital Farms also adds paprika and marigold to their hens' feed. Now these ingredients are there to do one single thing, and that is to make the yolk look better. Many people associate a deep orange yolk with a healthier, more nutritious egg. And when a hen is truly foraging on pasture, eating grasses, bugs and insects, you will get a darker yolk naturally. But when the hens are being fed corn and soy, with added paprika and marigold as colorants, that dark yolk, it's not reflecting superior nutrition, it's simply reflecting better marketing. As you'll soon see, this is only one of the tricks that Vital Farms uses to try and show the world that they are superior. Vital Farms claims their hens have access to a minimum of 108 square feet per bird, and that sounds pretty impressive compared to caged or cage-free operations, where hens get less than 2 square feet. But here's where things get complicated. Firstly, the hens don't arrive at the farm until they're about 17 weeks old. Before that, they spend their entire early life in what's called a pullet house, which is essentially an enclosed building. Then there's the avian flu situation. Vital Farms has openly acknowledged that due to avian influenza concerns, some of their farms have been temporarily housing their birds entirely indoors. Now, Vital Farms says that this is strictly for the safety of their birds, and that the birds return to pasture when it's safe. And I understand that this flu is a genuine concern, but here's the issue. During all of that time when the hens are kept indoors, the packaging, it doesn't change. The carton still says pasture raised. It still shows pictures of hens in lush green fields. And you and I, the consumer, we still pay that premium price. And then there's a structural issue. Vital Farms uses stationary barns. The hens aren't rotated to fresh pastures. That means that even when the hens do go outside, the same patch of land gets used over and over. Anyone who raises chickens knows that 108 square feet of unrotated land gets turned into bare dirt within a matter of weeks. Compare that to a true pasture-based operation that uses mobile coops and rotates flocks to fresh ground daily. Those systems produce genuinely different eggs. But here's the thing. Those systems are also much harder and much more expensive to scale. When you get bought out by a massive hedge fund, if the decision is between profit and anything else, well, it's not really a decision. In saying that, however, to their credit, Vital Farms have responded to the situation. They've released statements on social media, updated their website frequently asked questions, and even put out a video addressing the claims. Their main argument is that they've never hidden this. They've never hidden the fact that their hens are fed corn and soy. And technically speaking, that's true. It's always been on their frequently asked questions page. Even Nourish Food Club, who conducted the original study, confirmed that Vital Farms has never explicitly lied about this information. But here's the thing. There's a big difference between not lying and truly being transparent. Yes, they may have had the information lying on the frequently asked questions page, but when your entire packaging, branding, and marketing paints a completely different picture, when your carton shows hens roaming in endless pastures, and your tagline is, quote, keeping it bullshit free, and you charge 2 to 3 times more than standard eggs, the reasonable consumer assumption is that they're getting something meaningfully different than what they'd get from the industrial system. When the Instagram post about this study went viral, Vital Farms commented that the creator was, quote, recirculating the same bullshit. Now, that's quite the response from a brand that's built its entire identity on being transparent and consumer friendly. Now, here's the part of this video that I think is the most important, and I really need to be fair here. This right here isn't really a Vital Farms problem. It's an egg industry problem. Virtually every premium egg brand you see at the grocery store, including Happy Egg Co., Nellie's, Pete & Jerry's, and most store brand pasture-raised options, they're all still using similar corn and soy-based feed because this is what's cheapest and it allows them to scale easily. The term pasture-raised has very little regulation behind it. In many cases, all a producer needs to do is provide an affidavit saying that their chickens had outdoor access. There are no rigorous inspections. There are also no enforcement standards for how much time the hens actually spend outside. So most of the eggs we see in the premium sections of our grocery stores, the ones that we pay twice the price for, often they're still coming from hens that eat essentially the same thing as the cheap eggs. The main difference is simply better living conditions, which obviously matters a lot for animal welfare. But in terms of what you're actually getting from the egg itself, the fatty acid profile, the nutrient density, the linoleic acid content. The gap between premium and just regular old eggs may not be as big as you really think. And I do want to be clear about something. I'm not saying these eggs are terrible for you. Even a corn and soy fed pasture-raised egg is still a great nutritious food. Eggs all across the board are one of the most nutrient-dense foods you can eat on the planet. You're still getting protein, cholesterol, choline, B vitamins, and many fat-soluble vitamins from any whole egg. But here's my issue. So many people are spending significantly more money on these eggs because they believe they are getting a far more premium product. But the reality is, for most of these brands, that premium price is largely dictated simply because they have better marketing. It's not because their eggs are better. So, what can you actually do? Here are a few actionable steps. First, if possible, find a local farmer. Search for soy-free, corn-free, pasture-raised eggs near you. Many small farmers sell directly. The eggs from a farmer who actually rotates their birds on fresh pasture and doesn't use corn or soy feed will have a dramatically different fatty acid profile, lower in the omega-6s, higher in the omega-3s, as well as more vitamins and minerals overall. This right here is the absolute best option. You'll be getting the best eggs you can get. Second, if you can't find local, look for eggs specifically labeled as corn and soy free. This is the single biggest indicator that the egg will have a meaningfully different nutritional profile. The reason corn and soy free matters so much is, like we discussed earlier, chickens are monogastric animals, so whatever they eat, it essentially goes directly into their egg. When you remove the corn and soy from a chicken's diet, you also remove the excessive inflammatory omega-6s. And finally, don't stress. If regular store-bought eggs are all you have access to, don't worry about it. Eggs are still an incredible food. Even a standard grocery store egg is packed with nutrients and is far better than most other things that people eat. You don't always have to be perfect. The goal is to be informed so you can make the best decision available to you. Now, my personal takeaway from this whole situation isn't that Vital Farms themselves are inherently evil. Instead, it's that we need to stop blindly trusting labels and the marketing that is behind them. Whether it's eggs, bacon, butter, or any food for that matter, the packaging is designed to sell you a feeling. It's not there to sell the truth. Often the brands that charge the most are the ones that have the most to hide behind their marketing. This is why I always say to people, flip the product over, read the label and look on the company's website. The front of the packaging for any product is there for the company. It's there to market it. But when you turn it over and read what's on the back, that right there is the information you need to know. Now, if you want to save yourself some time researching all the different egg brands so you can see which ones are good and which ones need to be avoided, then I think you'll find this video useful. In it, I break down which brands you can actually trust and which ones are simply hiding behind their marketing. Anyway, as always, great speaking with you, and I'll see you next time.